Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how I make my henna paste. So starting off with the scale, I set it to grams for all my dry ingredients. And for the purpose of the video, I'm going to be using a clear bowl so you can see everything going on inside the bowl. This is my first time actually using Jamila Henna Powder, and I've heard really great things about it, so I was really excited to try it out. So I start off with the henna powder first. All of the measurements will be in the description box for you guys, but starting off with 100 grams of henna powder into the bowl. Then I go ahead and add in 40 grams of sugar. Be sure to tare your scale before you start for the weight of the dish, so you're only getting accurate measurements just for the henna powder and the sugar so far. Now I'm going in with my essential oils, total 30 ml of essential oils, but I'm going in with 15 ml of clove oil and 15 ml of eucalyptus essential oils. Then I just roughly mix together the henna powder and sugar with the oils, just so they're well combined before I go ahead and add in my liquid. My choice as a liquid for this mix was lemon juice, and I kind of just eyeballed it. Sorry, I don't have an exact measurement as to how much. And I'm just going to continue mixing this together till there's larger lumps. And I'm going to go ahead and make a tea to use to blend it together instead of just using water. And I'll show you in the next clip here how I made the easy, simple tea that I used to thin out my henna paste to a more thicker mashed potato consistency. You don't want to keep it too liquid, because if it's too liquid you can't really thicken it up after dye release. So definitely recommend keeping it on the thicker side, because you can always go ahead and thin it out to your liking afterwards. All I did for the tea is boil about a quarter cup of water with 2 black tea bags, bring it to a boil for about a minute, take it off, and go ahead and add in tablespoons at a time. And I definitely recommend waiting for the tea to cool down, but I was very impatient and went ahead with hot tea, which is perfectly fine because my stain turned out really dark afterwards. After I got it to my perfect consistency, I added a couple tablespoons of tea on top just to create a barrier between the henna and air, and I just airtightly packed the saran wrap so there's no air bubbles, and set this for dye release. For the straining process, I'm using these nylon socks from Dollarama and a piping bag, and all I do is put the piping bag in a tall cup and line it with the nylon inside, and I use this to strain my henna just so it's very smooth and fine with no lumps and possible clumps that could have been in the henna powder, and it just makes it come out more smooth in the henna cone afterwards, so it's a really important step. So now I'm going to check my henna if the dye has released. So this paper towel will be bright orange, there we go, indicates that the dye has released. So now it's ready for the thinning process. So all I'm going to do to thin this really thick paste we have right now is use the tea that I made earlier, but a fresh batch for this time obviously, and just thin it out. So little bits of tea and continue mixing it really well, just to make sure that the water is really well incorporated and that you're not adding too much. So just be careful with how much you're adding in, be generous with it, and mash it up real well. Of henna on my hand just to do a stain test, just to test the consistency and dye. And I left this on for 5 to 10 minutes, and just waited till it came off and it was a bright orange color. Now I'm just putting the henna through the little mixture that we made earlier, the piping bag and the nylon, just to strain the henna out. And once I'm done straining, this is the last step with the henna making process. Go ahead and fill them into your cones. You can freeze your cones or use them fresh right away.